full pads today. Being shells tomorrow and shorts the next two after that. And clock's ticking. Clock's ticking. I thought we started out really with a lot of energy, and as the day went on, we kind of waned a little bit in enthusiasm, waned a little bit, I thought, in the energy level, which really is not good if you got to try to play full 60 minutes or beyond. So, and you know, obviously it's a little bit warmer than it's been in all other practices, but we just got to continue to push through that. It wasn't super hot, it was just hotter than what we're used to, I guess, so that might have been a little bit of a factor. But I think overall everybody's trying to do what they're supposed to do, the way they're supposed to do it. And, so with that, I'll just let you all ask me whatever you want to ask.
Mark, Trey Matthews back out there today. Is that a positive sign that he's?
Well, yeah, he did. He practiced, and so that was good.
Did he look rusty at all out there?
It was so hard to really gauge. It was mostly scout team work, and the tempo wasn't just blazing. But he did get in. He got into some competitive drills, and he looked fine. When a guy's coming off a hamstring, it's going to be a couple days before you really feel like he's over the hump, you know. So hopefully he will be. Hopefully no more setbacks.
Not ready to declare him starter today since he's back.
No.
How many kids do you plan on taking to Clemson?
Well, we don't have a limitation, obviously. So we can take as many as we want. Our goal is to take the number of guys that we need to compete, and then there may be a few guys we bring to reward, you know, some good effort or whatever it might be. We can use this game for that type of thing. But if you have too many guys, even if they're all good guys, or however you want to say it, you know, if they're all focused, the more you have, the harder it is to keep a team focus, especially if you bring guys that know they're not going to play. If you bring too many of those guys, then they have a hard time helping everybody else stay ready. So I don't want to bring too many. We don't have the number yet, but that's kind of the criteria.
Will you, it's unusual, it's such a late game on Saturday. Will you go up the night before, or will you bus up the day of the game?
Yeah, we'll go the night before.
You will go the night before?
Oh, yeah, we will. They'll get to sleep in. You know, the first event they have, they'll be able to get up and get breakfast. Any early risers can get it, but it won't be mandatory. And the first meal will be, you know, later in the morning, close to noon actually.
No temptation at all not to do the overnight thing you prefer?
No, I think you need to go. I think the biggest part of going out of town, well, maybe not the biggest part, but one of the main features of it is just to get away from everything and know where everybody is, know everybody's focused, know everybody's getting their rest, know everybody's, you know, going to bed on time, and all that type of thing. Plus we get to feed them good, so all that works together.
Mark, the number of true freshmen and redshirt freshmen that you're going to count on the defense, I guess it was inevitable with the turnover you had there, but is that an indication how pleased you are with them as a group?
We are. I mean, some guys are playing by virtue of the lack of depth, and some guys are playing because they earned the right to move ahead of some veterans. So it's a little bit of both in there. And anytime you lose as many starters as we did, you're going to have inexperienced guys jump in there, and you'd like to have everybody who's been on board, kind of working towards their day, to be good enough to handle it, because you want to have as much experience, at least within your system, that you can. Sometimes a guy jumps in there and has got great ability and shows the ability to learn and seems to be a mature enough guy that you can give him more responsibility than other freshmen. And so you gotta play him.
Brendan Langley's a guy that obviously there wasn't the depth, but he also seems to be giving Sheldon a push. What has Brendan done?
Well, I just described him. You know, a guy with ability, a guy who can learn, and a guy that is dependable, a guy that is focused on wanting to come in as a freshman and play like a veteran. And he's taken that approach in the off season, from what I hear. I know he was in tremendous condition when he got here. And he's just done a good job of learning what to do and gaining the trust of the coach. That's what it all comes down to. You know, will a guy gain the trust of his position coach and his coordinator to get him in the game? And he's done that.
I don't remember who was just asking about taking guys on the road, but I'm assuming that Bryce, don't you guys usually take the freshman quarterback to all the road games?
Not always. Depending on how many QBs we have on roster, and it depends on just the number. You know, if you can bring, when I say the number, this game we don't have any limitations. The SEC games, obviously, we can bring 70. So, I mean, if we got some issues with a guy that, let's say you have some guys that are on the, you kind of game time decision on whether they're healthy or not. So you might bring that guy, and then you got to bring some other guys in case he can't go, and you've got to bring special teamers, and we got to make sure our offense, defense, and special teams are taken care of. And then if we have space, then if we're going to take a guy, that we know is not going to play a snap, and we know he's not going to play it, it's usually quarterback's the first guy in that category, just to get the feel of what it's like to be in those kind of games.
That close, does that number, would you say it's closer to 100 or closer to 70?
On the travel?
Yeah.
It'd be closer to 70 than 100. 100 would be a lot to manage, you know. Even bowl games, we love them. We'd love to have them all there. But when you have 125 guys there, and you're used to operating with 70, that's 55 extra guys, and where are they going to go? You know, even the meals become a little more problematic, sizes of facilities and meeting rooms, and then even locker room space and all that type of thing. The more you have, the tougher it is to manage, and the more bodies you have in a small space, the harder it is just for everybody to have everything at a level volume. Or even like for a meal, for example, you have a team meal. If everybody's just having a normal conversation, it gets loud in there, and sometimes it's too loud for my liking, you know. And you know, so we just got to make sure we keep it all under control and make sure we're bringing guys that we think will handle it right.
Mark, how much has Trey been able to do the last couple of weeks in terms of learning the game plan and getting up to speed?
Well, he's been at meetings, and he's been watching, observing practice. But if you don't do it, it's tough, you know, film sessions and all that kind of thing. He's got his playbook with him. You know, I don't know how much he's doing on his own, to be honest with you, but hopefully he's doing everything he can possibly do to get ready. But he's also squeezing in every minute of treatment he can get, going to class, going to study hall, going to academic mentors. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Is Burnett still able to do as much as you want him to do, or are y'all still limited his reps with the shoulder? Where's that at right now?
He's been just taking normal reps.
What does Theus look like to you at right guard when he's in there doing that?
I mean, I think he looks fine in there. I think he, you know, when you're practicing both two positions, it's tough to perfect either one of them. But he's got a lot of reps, you know, at tackle, and I think he's fine to do both. I think Colton Houston's fine to do both. And they work side by side. You know, the right guard, right tackle obviously work side by side a bunch. And so the communication is the same in a lot of ways.
You're watching, or at least the position coach is watching tape every day of practices and grading those guys. Is it clear because of the depth situation, Colton added to the mix, Watts maturing, that kind of thing, that the line is better than it was a year ago to you?
Well, we don't stay up late at night worrying about if one guy gets hurt, what are we going to do? You know, I think that's the biggest thing, is just the depth to know that if a guy gets banged up, you've got some options that you think you could still function well and not just have one guy put you in a situation where he becomes a liability on the field. So, you know, we have more guys that we think can play right now. That's the biggest difference.
How long has it been since that was the case? It seems like it's been a long time.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a while, and I'll tell you what, we've got some other guys that are slowly but surely coming on. You know, there's some guys that we're not mentioning on a daily basis, but DeBell is coming on. You know, he's starting to get it. You know, haven't talked about Pike a lot lately, but he's starting to get it. We like what Kublano's doing. And, you know, he's a freshman and all, but we see that he's going to be pretty good. And then there's a lot of guys that have already moved over to the scout team, and but some of those guys we have high hopes for. So we've got more numbers overall and more guys that we think ultimately can end up playing for us than we have in a while.
Hey, Mark, Adam Erickson's a local kid here. Can you talk about what he brings to your game as a kicker or punter?
Yeah, well, you know, Adam is a holder. He does a good job there. He's been our pooch punter basically. Done a really good job there. And then he's been, you know, practicing ever since he's been here, extra point field goals. So if he was called upon, I think he could function and do well there. So, you know, those are the things he's been doing for us. Yes.
Unfortunately, right.
Anybody else? Okay, Jim.
And with that.
Yep.
Thank you.